Hi YouTube, my name is Big Boy Snatch on TV, aka What Kind of Snatch One, because I got plenty to go around. As you can tell by the title of the thumbnail, this is my WWE NXT review on high. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure guys please take the time on your night to full watch the video from all the way from the beginning all the way towards the end. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for my rest content I do on the channel. Excuse me, and go check out my WWE Raw review on how I post on the channel. And let's get started. Now WWE NXT was a terrible show. It had some good highlights and stuff like that, but everything else on the entire show was just there, but it was just terrible at the same time. And I give that show a 3.5 out of 10. All right, without further ado, let's get started. Tonight's WWE NXT airing December 16th, 2025. Promise an action-packed night live from the Capitol Wrestling Center and WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. The show seeks Dark State Dion Lennox, Miles Bourne, and Joe Hendry in a TNA X Division champion. The youngest in charge, Leon Slayer, battle each other in a in a WWE NXT Championship No One Contenders Fatal 4-Way match. Plus, WWE NXT Women's North American Champion, the Glamour Blake Monroe, will defend her title against Thea. Alright, the show kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW and is available for international fans on streaming platforms like Netflix. Ringside News will provide live match-by-match updates and highlights throughout the night. Stay tuned to this page. Refresh for the latest results as the action unfolds. And join the conversation in the comments below. Alright, it's excuse me. WWE NXT results. 12/16/25 live match updates and highlights. The show opens up with a video package recapping this past weekend Saturday night's main event special and Giovanni Evans match against WWE NXT champion Open Family. Alright. We didn't see Giovanni Evans we didn't see Giovanni Evans waiting for Ricky Saints in a parking lot. And NXT General Manager Ava tells him to go inside, but Giovanni says he is going to wait for Ricky Saints. Alright, let me take a sip of my water. Big Joseph and WWE Hall of Famer Booker T then welcomes us to the show as Blake Monroe makes her way down to the ring for the first match of the night, and Thea Hell follows. So we get the first match. WWE NXT Women's North American Championship match, the Glamour of Blake Monroe versus Thea. Now, this was a lot of controversy in this match. This match itself was terrible, but it had a good moment when Thea won. But this was a tough call by the referee, but congratulations to Thea for getting her moment, and that's all I gotta say. But the match itself was just terrible, but good moment for Thea. The match starts off with Thea going for the wrist, but Blake Monroe sends her into the turnbuckles. Thea then hits a snap mirror and she works on her arm with a splash. Thea then gets a near fall. Thea then clinches in an armbar. Blake Monroe then hits a snap mirror and she kicks Thea and she kicks her in the corner. Blake Monroe then hits an Irish whip and a spinning side slam for a near fall. Thea then hits a snap mirror and a kick to the chest, followed by a moonsault for a near fall. Thea then clinches in the armbar. Thea then hits a wheelbarrow into an arm drag. Thea then drop kicks Blake Monroe to the floor. Thea then hits a suicide dive and she sends Blake Monroe back into the ring. Thea then hits an exploder. Thea then hits an elbow into the corner. But Blake Monroe sends her into the turnbuckles. Blake Monroe then goes for the turnbuckles and applies a cross arm breaker in the ropes. Alright. Excuse me. Blake Monroe then slams the arm into the mat and stomps on it. Blake Monroe then hits a suplex and she gets a near fall. Blake Monroe then kicks Thea, but Thea hits some punches. Blake Monroe then hits a kick. Blake Monroe then clinches in the armbar for a near fall. Thea then locks her hands when Blake Monroe goes for a cross arm breaker. Thea Hale then rolls over to get a near fall. Blake Monroe then hits some kicks and cinches in a Cobra clutch. Blake Monroe then adds a body scissors. Thea Hale then escapes. She gets to her feet. Blake Monroe then hits a short arm clothesline for a near fall. Blake Monroe then hits some punches on Thea Hale and she returns to the Cobra clutch. Blake Monroe then hits another short arm clothesline and she returns to the Cobra clutch. Thea Hale then hits a headbutt and some clotheslines followed by a standing power slam and a somersault senton. Thea Hale then hits a springboard coffin drop for the win. The winner of the match, this was a shocker moment right here. Thea Hale is the new Women's North American Champion. Alright, so the winner and your new NXT Women's North American Champion, Thea Hale. This was a shocking moment, but good for Thea Hale. But as I was looking for it, I know what I saw, and Blake Monroe's arm was up like this. So Blake Monroe kicked out because her arm was up, but the referee kept on counting to 3. It's like you playing WWE 2K. It's like you playing WWE 2K25 when somebody hit a finisher on you and somebody pin you, but your foot is on the bottom row, but the referee keep on counting. Now this was scripted. The ending itself was just scripted. It was scripted by itself. I'm talking about the ending of the match. The ending was just scripted by itself because Blake Monroe just kept kicking out. That was just scripted by itself. But like I said, this was a tough call. But this match was terrible. But it had it like this match itself was terrible. But this was a tough call. But I might as well say congratulations to Thea Hale. This is her moment, and she deserved it. And she deserved this moment, and that's all I gotta say. But I know we're gonna get a rematch between Thea Hale and Blake Monroe, and that's all I gotta say. All right, after the match, we see a replay, and there might have been a shoulder up, which it was a shoulder up. All right, we then head to the back, where Shawn Spears tells Easy Dame that Tatum Paxley probably cried 1,000 tears. They then see a gift from Tatum. Izzy Dame says Tatum needs to move on because they have. The mind games have started. Tatum Paxley is watching or calling. So what this means that Tatum Paxley is going to form a stable when she has time. So I believe that Tatum Paxley is going to form a stable when she has time. But the feud between Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley is just far from over. Alright, we then see Ethan Page walk into the backstage area. We then get a slow motion look at the finish of the match, where Blake Monroe did not kick out of the cover, which I did saw. Blake Monroe did kick out because her shoulders was up, even though it got late, but her shoulders was up. But anyway, here we go. Ethan Page then makes his way down to the ring. Ethan Page grabs a microphone and starts off by saying he is absolutely applied that the wrestling world is more concerned which champion quit when their co-worker retried than a champion being attacked from behind. Ethan Page then says that same champion with a back so strong he can carry an industry. Ethan Page then says that back was arm almost broken, but why doesn't anyone care? Ethan Page then asks why was he attacked. Ethan Page then says jealousy. Ethan Page then says it is because he is a foundation of NXT. Ethan Page then says it is because he left every other North American title reign in the back. Ethan Page then says he does not care and wants answers. Ethan Page then tells Tony to bring his you-know-what out here. Channing Lorenzo then makes his way out with Ariana Grace. Lorenzo says he doesn't know what Tony's problem is, and he doesn't give a you-know-what. Lorenzo then says he cares about people getting on your level and being a champion for other companies. Lorenzo then says his queen is carrying his international title. Lorenzo then says his girl asked for more gold. Ethan Page then says this is what he was talking about. He then says zero decorum to interrupt him. Lorenzo then says those tag titles will look so good around their waist. But the funny part was that Ariana Grace can't even get inside her ring. That part was funny, and that's all I gotta say. He says more gold on the mind. All right. Then it says right here, Moose. Moose then makes his way out and he walks up to Channing. Channing San Lorenzo. He says the NXT talent has a TNA championship. Moose then says the boys in the TNA are pissed. Moose then says he is here to do something about it. Moose then tells Channing Stacks Lorenzo someone is going to deal with him, and this is your lucky day. Moose then says he's a loser. He is a laser focus on Ethan Page, and that stops Ethan Page in his tracks. Moose then says he is here to take one of the NXT most prestigious titles back to TNA with him. Ethan Page then says there are rules and Moose will have to talk to Ava. Moose then says Ava and Santino Marella have agreed that they will meet on December 30th. Moose then punches Ethan Page and sends him to the floor. And it's about time that somebody go out to Ethan Page, and that is Moose. And I hope Moose take the NXT North American Championship off of Ethan Page. And that's all I gotta say. And I hope that does happen. If that does happen, I got Moose winning. That's all I gotta say. It says, sorry, Ego Ethan Page, it's already official. The Moose Nation gets a shot at the NXT North American Championship on the last NXT of the year, which is about time that Moose go out to Ethan Page. Alright. It says, we then head to the back where Leon Slater tells Javon Evans to join him inside to be at ringside with him for the match. Javon Evans then says he will be there. Leon Slater then says Ricky Saints might not even be here tonight. Javon Evans then says he was a second away from becoming the NXT champion. Hog Walker and Tank Lager then makes their way down to the ring for the next match of the night, and OTM follows. So we get a tag team match. So we get Hank and Tank, which is the Belly Bros, the Belly Boys, and versus OTM Lucien Price and Bronco Nima. We seen this match already. Can we move on, please? We seen this tag team match. Why are we seeing this match again? Why are we seeing this tag team match again? But I ain't gonna lie, this was a I might as well say this was. It was just so this was a good tag team match, but I was just tired of seeing this same tag team match. But even though this tag team match was good, we already seen this already. That's all I gotta say. The match starts off with Tank and Nima, and both men lock up. Nima then pushes Tank into the corner. Tank then cinches in a race lock, and Nima hits a back elbow and a shoulder tackle. Tank then cinches in a race lock, and Tank avoids an elbow and sends Nima into the corner. Hank then tags in and applies a side headlock. Hank then shakes his belly to distract Nima, while Tank applies a side headlock. Nima then hits a shoulder tackle, and Price tags in. Price then hits a knee, and Nima hits a stump for a near fall. Price then hits a splash into the corner, followed by a slam. Tank then escapes and slams Hank and tags in. Hank then hits a splash and Tank hits a shoulder tackle from the turnbuckles for a near fall. Tank then tags in and goes for the turnbuckles, and he touches his belly and hits a double slash. Tank then works on his arm. A vehicle then arrives in a parking lot and it is surrounded, which is Ricky Saints. They pulled up in the parking lot. Tank then tags in and Day works on the arm. Tank then hits a Irish whip and a splash. Hank then tags in and hits and then he hits a splash into the corner. Price then hits a hip toss and a chop. Nema then tags in. They then hit a double back elbow and Nema gets a near fall. Tank then tags in and they hit a double splash on Nema and then hit a hip toss Price. And then toss Price, I'm sorry. Hank and Tank then hit some punches on the turnbuckles. Nema and Price then get them up for a super collide. And then a double sit out power bomb. Hank and Tank then go to the floor. Nema then sends Tank into the apron. Nema hits a forearm to the back as he hangs over the apron, and Nema follows it up with a boot to the head. Price then tags in and he punches Tank. While Nema holds Tank, Price then hits a slam. Tank then holds some punches and Price hits a punch to stop Tank. Price then sends Tank into the turnbuckles and he slaps Tank. Price then hits more slaps. Tank then slaps Price and Price hits some punches in the corner. Nema then tags in and pulls Price off and he punches Tank. Price then hits some punches and Nema hits a running boot to the head. Nema then stomps on his hand. Nema then hits a forearm and an elbow to Tank. Nema then hits a splash and then hits a boot on Nema and some punches on Price. Tank then hits a DDT to counters at your range. Hank then tags in and he kicks Nema and punches Price. Hank then hits a snake eyes and a flying back elbow. Hank then hits an airplane spin into an F5 for a near fall. Tank then hits a suicide dive on Nema. Hank then goes up top and Price hits a forearm. Price then goes for a superplex and he hits it. Nema and Tank then tag in and Tank hits some forearms and Nema hits some European uppercuts. Tank then hits a back elbow and a kick. Nema is not impressed and Nema hits a back elbow. Tank is not impressed and he does a cartwheel and hits a clothesline for a near fall. That's something that the eyebrow would do, and that's all I gotta say. Tank then changes in the armbar and Hank is sent into Tank with the Uranagi onto Tank. Nema and Price then hits a double back breaker for a near fall. Nema then tags in and they get Tank on the shoulders for a double small drop for a near fall. Tank is then sent to the floor and Price tags in. They then set up for a double choke slam onto the table. But Tank gets in the arm bar and hits a double cannonball. Tank then sends Prince back into the ring and Tank goes up top and hits a swanton. Hank then tags in and they take their shirts off and sets up for a Malachi crunch. Nema then clotheslines Tank and Price kicks Hank. Nema then tags in and Tank hits a shoulder tackle on on Price. I'm sorry. Hank then gets an inside cradle for the win. The winner of the match. It says the winner of the match. I'm sorry, the winner of the tag team match. Hank Walker and Tank Liger. Now this is a good tag team match, but we already seen this match already. Let's move on. All right, but put the NXT Tag Team Championships around OTM. That's all I gotta say. All right, we then head back to the parking lot where the doors open for the vehicle of Ricky Saints emerges. We then see Ava and Jasper Troy, and she asks about Javon Evans. Jasper Troy says he should have taken them both out. Ava then says there will be a new tournament for the for the speed champion, for the speed title. I'm sorry. Jasper Troy then says, however, whoever steps in the ring with him will be destroyed. All right, let's move on. This was a good promo about Ricky Saints, but we need that. We need more heel action against Ricky Saints. This was a good promo right here. And yes, Ricky Saints did turn heel last week. That was a good call. That was a good decision. But anyway, good segment by Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints then makes his way down to the ring. Ricky Saints then grabs a mic and starts off by saying he is not out here to apologize. Ricky Saints then says the day he sets foot in the ring, he said he will bring the absolute era. Ricky Saints then says he came to NXT to prove to the world that he is what he says has been had says he has been. Ricky Saints then says he is the guy who can carry any brand. Ricky Saints then says that is why he took the biggest gamble for himself. Ricky Saints then says he has no other options. Ricky Saints then says to go for it. He go for it. He had to be obsessed with being number one. Ricky Saints then says everyone is searching for the man to beat over family. Ricky Saints then says that was him and he did it. Alright. Ricky Saints then says this is where it gets confusion. Ricky Saints then says you enjoy it for a minute. But you really wanted someone else. Ricky Saints then says you would rather had Javon Evans be over family. Ricky Saints then says no one cared about jumping in front of him for his title match. Ricky Saints then says that is why he had to check Javon Evans and remind his narrow, you know what. He isn't the man until he's so. Ricky Saints then says he has played it safe before he has been passed over and stepped on. Ricky Saints then says no more. Ricky Saints then says he will get what he wants when he wants it. Ricky Saints then says if he has to stab you in the back or the chest, so be it. Ricky Saints then tells Javon Evans to wait on his turn. Ricky Saints then says he had to wait for his. Ricky Saints then says you are trying to say that Javon Evans is better than him. Ricky Saints then says how many titles as Javon Evans have. Alright. Ricky Saints then says when he allowed Javon Evans to step in the ring with him, he will show that he is a class below him. Ricky Saints then says he is tired of the popularity contest. Ricky Saints then says he is a real star in the main eventer. Ricky Saints then says he's not the wrong guy. Ricky Saints then says he is the right guy. Ricky Saints then says there ain't nobody who will do what it takes to get to the top like him. Ricky Saints then says no one will go to the same lengths as him to stay on the top. Javon Evans eventually gets past security and he attacks Ricky Saints in the ring. Javon Evans then takes care of the security. When they hold him back, Javon Evans then hits a splash, but Ricky Saints hits a punch. Javon Evans hit, then tossed Ricky Saints over the first into the ring steps. Ricky Saints then punches Javon Evans and he hits him with the Rochambeau through the announcer table. All right, let's move on. That was a good segment between Ricky Saints. I said it says we then see Ethan Page starts into Abel's office to complain about everything that has happened. Chelsea Green then shows up. Yeah, then shows up and she yells at Ava and says Ava is a bad it's a bad as Nick and Adam Pierce. So Ruga then asks Ava how does she deal with this. Ava then tells Chelsea Green all she can yeah all she tells Chelsea Green all of the bad things happen to her are not her fault. Ethan Page then asks about the moose issue. And Ava Ethan Page say, says he is the best. Ava then tells Ethan Page he will defend his North American Championship title in 2 weeks. Chelsea Green will be defending her Women's United States Championship title against Saruka next week. And I believe that Chelsea Green going to retain, but I can most definitely see Saruka beating Chelsea Green. I can most definitely see that. But I'm waiting for Azario to turn on Saruka. I'm just waiting on it. All right, let me take a sip of my water. Kendall Gray and Winston Sinclair then make their way down to the ring for the next match of the night. Fatal Influence followed with Jesse Jane taking a seat at the commentary desk. Alright, so we get the tag team match. WWE Evolved Women's Champion Kendall Gray and Winston Sinclair versus Fatal Influence WWE Women's Speed Champion Fallon Henley and Laney Reed. And this tag team match right here, I ain't even gonna lie. This was I'm also say this tag team match was okay. This was a solid tag team match. I'm just gonna leave it at that. This was a solid tag team match for what it was. Excuse me. The match starts off with Fallon Henley and Laney Reed attacking Kendall Gray and Winston Sinclair, and they double team Kendall Gray and keep Winston Sinclair on the floor. Laney Reed then hits a uppercut on Kendall Gray in a corner. Laney Reed then swings and misses when she goes out there when Sinclair, but they're on the apron. Kendall Gray then gets in the inside cradle. Kendall Gray then hits a leg sweep and Winston Sinclair chases in a chinlock, followed by a drop kick from Kendall Gray. Laney Reed then punches Winston Sinclair, but Winston Sinclair hits a heel kick. After Kendall Gray tags in, Kendall Gray then hits a German suplex for a near fall. Kendall Gray then cinches in a front face lock. And gets a gator roll for a near fall. Winston Sinclair then tags in. Kendall Gray then hits a snapmare, and Winston Sinclair gets a near fall. Laney Reed then kicks Winston Sinclair and Fallon Henley and tags in. Winston Sinclair then hits a punch and a butterfly suplex. Laney Reed then goes to the floor and Jesse James stops Winston Sinclair. Laney Reed then missed a forearm, but Fallon Henley hits a tiger feint kick around the ring post. I'm sorry. Fallon Henley then gets a tag near fall on Winston Sinclair. Fallon Henley then hits some knee to the head. Fallon Henley then stands on the ankle to keep Winston Sinclair from moving. Fallon Henley then hybrid extends the leg. Laney Reed then tags in and she kicks Winston Sinclair and sends her. What was I? It says an elbow drop. And a punch. Laney Reed then goes for a suplex, but Winston Sinclair gets in the side cradle for a near fall. Laney Reed then hits an Irish whip and backbreaker for a near fall. Laney Reed then hits punches on Winston Sinclair. Laney Reed then kicks Winston Sinclair in the wrist. Laney Reed then kicks Winston Sinclair in the ropes. Fallon Henley then tags in Laney Reed and hits a snapmare. Fallon Henley then hits a forearm for a near fall. Winston Sinclair then hits a forearm and hits some punches. Fallon Henley then hits a double back elbow. Fallon Henley then chases in a top wrist lock. Fallon Henley then hits a Irish whip and a sliding German suplex. Laney Reed then hits a shoulder cutter. It's a slingshot cutter for a near fall. Laney Reed then goes for another near fall. Laney Reed then hits an elbow and she has some words for Kendall Gray. Laney Reed then missed an elbow drop. Winston Clare moves. Winston Clare then kicks Laney Reed away. But Fallen Hanley tags in and stops Winston Clare from making the tag. Kendall Gray then tags in and she hits some back elbows. Kendall Gray then hits a overhead belly to belly throw on Laney Reed. Kendall Gray then hits a slingshot double stomp on Laney Reed, but Laney Reed blocks a flatliner and Kendall Gray is sent into the turnbuckles. Fallen Hanley tags in and gets a near fall. Fallen Hanley then hits an Irish whip on Kendall Gray and some kicks. Fallen Hanley then hits a splash and hits a splash to the back to the corner. Kendall Gray then hits a power slam for a near fall. Winston Clare then hits a belly to back suplex on Laney Reed. Kendall Gray then chinches in a cross arm breaker on Fallen Hanley, and Jesse Jane gets on the apron. Kendall Gray then punches Jesse Jane, and Winston Clare hits a crossbody off the turnbuckles on Laney Reed, and Jesse James follow Jesse then Fallen Hanley then gets a roll up for near fall. Kendall Gray then chinches in a cross arm breaker, and Fallen Hanley taps out. All right, the winner of the tag team match, the WWE Evolved Women's Champion Kendall Gray and Winston Clare. All right, this was a pretty good match. Yeah, pretty good match. What it was, and that's all I gotta say. We didn't see Thea Hill in the back with Kelly Kincaid. Kelly Kincaid congratulates Thea Hill on her win, that was a good moment by Thea Hill. Let me continue. Thea Hill then said she has been here since she was 18, and she has when she was 18, and she has always wanted to be a champion. Jordan Grace then congratulates Thea Hill, and Thea Hill tells Jordan Grace she has to be positive. Blake Monroe then says she doesn't lose. Blake Monroe kicks her out. And kicks her out because she kicks out. I'm sorry. Alright. Jordan Grace then asks Blake Monroe to let Thea Hill enjoy her victory. Blake Monroe then says she wants her rematch. Thea Hill then backs off. I'm sorry. Then Thea Hill hugs Jordan Grace. I'm sorry. Alright. We hear from Easy Dame on the phone with Sean Spears, and they are talking about what? I'm talking about where is Nico Vance. She says it's been. She says it has to be Tatum Pasley. Lola Vice then talks about Easy Dame about what he did to Tatum Paxley, and says she would be careful. Kelani Jordan then shows up and she says she is back. She then says she knows what jealousy does to people. Kelani Jordan then says she's right. She says Kendall Gray, not Kendall Gray. Kelani Jordan then says she is the best superstar in the locker room, and if she wasn't here, maybe you would be a champion. Lola Vice then says MMA is better than gymnastics. Alright, it says we see that Solo Hill with Sky Ray. They talk about their matches. Ariana Grace then says the Tag Titles match was there, but Moose screwed it up. Moose, then Sheila, no, what is his name? Sheila Hill then asks about a Moose in Florida. Lorenzo then asks Hill if he need to get his foot fixed. Shannon then says challenge them to a big match next week. Dark State then walks past them. All right, it is it is then announced that next week Saruga will face Chelsea Green for the Women's United States Champion title. Izzy Dane faces Lola Vice, and then in the men's speedball starts. And that's all I gotta say. What did Saruga do to become number one contender for Chelsea Green's United States Championship? Nothing. But it is what it is. So we're gonna get Chelsea Green for the Women's United States Championship against Saruka. But I hope Saruka takes the title for Chelsea Green. Miles Warren then makes his way down to the ring in the main event of the night, and Leon Slater, Joe Hendry, and Dion Lane falls. So we get the main event of the evening. So we get a WWE Championship number one contender fatal for a match. Dark State, Dion Lane versus Miles Bourne and Joe Hendry versus the X Division champion, the youngest in charge, Leon Slater. And this was a fun main event match. What it was. The match starts off with Dion Lennox kicking Miles Bourne, and he sends Leon Slater into Joe Hendry. Dion Lennox then hits a slam on Leon Slater for a near fall. Miles Bourne and Dion Lennox then exchange punches, and Miles Bourne takes the advantage. Miles Bourne then avoids a belly to back suplex and punches Dion Lennox punches Lennox down. Dion Lennox punches Dan, misses a splash. Miles Bourne then hits a reverse DDT on Joe Hendry as he avoids a Dion Lennox clothesline. Miles Bourne then hits a power slam on Dion Lennox for a near fall. Leon Slater then hits a kick on Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne then blocks a kick. And Leon Slater sends Miles Bourne to Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry then hits a double clothesline on Miles Bourne and Leon Slater. Joe Hendry then hits a head butt on Leon Slater in an Irish whip, but Leon Slater floats over Joe Hendry and then hits a shoulder tackle and a hip toss. Joe Hendry then hits a DDT on Leon Slater and he gets a near fall. Dion Lennox and Miles Bourne then makes their way to the floor. Dion Lennox then gets back in the ring while Joe Hendry gets Leon Slater on the shoulders. Joe Hendry gets a roll up on Dion Lennox for a near fall. Leon Slater then hits a back heel kick on Dion Lennox. Leon Slater then hits a handspring back elbow on Joe Hendry. Leon Slater then goes to the apron and hits a flip senton onto Joe Hendry. Leon Slater then gets a near fall on Dion Lennox after a crossbody. Leon Slater then hits some chops on Dion Lennox. And Dion Lennox responds with that kick. Dion Lennox then hits a uppercut and some punches in the corner. Leon Slater then hits an Irish whip and a chop on Dion Lennox into the corner. Dion Lennox then backs an Irish whip by holding on the ropes on Leon Slater and hits a chop. Leon Slater then goes to the turnbuckles and he punches Dion Lennox. Leon Slater then goes to the turnbuckles and hits a cross body on Dion Lennox for a near fall. Leon Slater then pulls Dion Lennox into a position, and then Leon Slater then goes up, but Dion Lennox rolls to the floor, and Leon Slater goes back to the mat. Leon Slater then hits a Picasso, but Dion Lennox moves, and Leon Slater appears to have hurt his knee. Leon Slater then hits then returns to the ring, and Dion Lennox is about to head. It's about to head, and it's about to head. Dion Lennox then hits some punches, and Miles Bourne punches Dion Lennox back. Miles Bourne then hits a drop kick. Miles Bourne then punches Joe Hendry. Dion Lennox then punches Miles Bourne. Dion Lennox then hits a seated splash on Miles Bourne. Dion Lennox then hits a long blow on Joe Hendry, and everyone is down in the ring. Dion Lennox then kicks Miles Bourne and gets a near fall. Dion Lennox then sends Leon Slater shoulder first into the ring post. Dion Lennox Dion Lennox Dion Lennox then hits some kicks on Leon Slater. Dion Lennox then hits a neck breaker on Leon Slater for a near fall. Dion Lennox then kicks Miles Bourne and then Irish whip him. Leon Slater then hits a kick. Dion Lennox then hits a forearm to the back of the leg. Leon Slater then goes to the clothesline. Leon Slater then goes to the turnbuckles. But he needs buckles. Dion Lennox then hits a clothesline to the back of the head. Miles Bourne then hits a suplex on Joe Hendry, while Dion Lennox wings the legs into the ring post to weaken Leon Slater. Leon Slater. Miles Bourne then slides to the floor, and Dion Lennox then sends Miles Bourne into the announcer desk. Joe Hendry then hits a clothesline that sends Dion Lennox to apron. The referee checks on Leon Slater. Dion Lennox then sends Joe Hendry into the ring steps. Leon Slater then draw kiss Dion Lennox for he rolls into a Boston Crab. Miles Bourne and Joe Hendry then adds a cross face on Dion Lennox. Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne then hits a clothesline that at the same time. Dion Lennox then hits a suicide kick on Miles Bourne. He pulls Miles Bourne into a position. Leon Slater then goes up top, and Dion Lennox pulls him to the turnbuckles and crushes him. Dion Lennox then hits a punch. Hits a punch on Leon Slater. Dion Lennox then sets up for a power slam off the turnbuckles. Miles Bourne punches Dion Lennox. Miles Bourne then sets up for a superplex on Dion Lennox. Joe Hendry then joins Miles Bourne on the turnbuckles. Leon Slater then turns it into a sunset flip double powerbomb. Meanwhile, Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne hits a double suplex. Leon Slater then gets a near fall on Joe Hendry and on Miles Bourne. Leon Slater then gets a near fall on Dion Lennox. Leon Slater then hits a forearm on Miles Bourne and a kick to Joe Hendry. Leon Slater then hits a kick and Dion Lennox on Miles Bourne. Leon Slater then hits more kicks. Miles Bourne then hits some European uppercuts on Leon Slater and a belly to back suplex. Dion Lennox then hits a spine buster on Miles Bourne. Joe Hendry then hits a German suplex on Dion Lennox. Leon Slater then escapes and stands ovation. It's a standing ovation. Leon Slater then hits the Utopia on Joe Hendry. Leon Slater then hits a Tiger Fake kick on Dion Lennox and on the apron. Leon Slater then goes up top and Dion Lennox rolls away. Leon Slater then sees where Dion Lennox is, and he is a swanton onto Dion Lennox, and he goes for the goes back to the ring, goes back to the apron for a swan time 450 attempt. Miles Bourne drop kicks Leon Slater off the turnbuckles. Joe Hendry then blocks a suplex on Miles Bourne, and he hits a suplex on Miles Bourne. Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne then hit some punches, and Joe Hendry hits some clotheslines in a follow-away slam. Joe Hendry then hits then hits a follow-away slam on Deion Lennox. Joe Hendry then hits an Olympic slam on Miles Bourne. It's standing ovation on Miles Bourne. Joe Hendry then catches Leon Slater off the turnbuckle, and he press slam Deion later onto Deion Lennox on the floor. Joe Hendry then hits a Uranage and he gets a near fall. When Deion Lennox pulls him to the floor, Deion Lennox, I'm sorry, Leon Slayer then hits a swanton 450 on Miles Bourne for the win. The winner of the Fatal 4-Way match and your new number one contender to the WWE NXT Championship, TNA X Division Champion, the youngest in charge, Leon Slayer. This was a fun Fatal 4-Way match. After the match, Rick Joseph talks about how it is shocking to see the X Division champion win the number one contenders match. WWE NXT champion Over Family then makes his way out to confront Leon Slayer. Oh, it's over for Leon Slayer, man. It is over for Leon Slayer, but NXT the Over Family is retaining his title, his NXT championship. The camera then zooms to the top of the bleachers to show Tony D'Angelo Ora on the top row as the show comes to an end. All right, let me get my spin of what I think about WWE NXT. Before that, let me go over the matches and key moments scheduled for WWE NXT on December 16, 2025. WWE NXT Championship No. 1 Contenders Fatal 4-Way match. Dark State Deion Lennox versus Miles Bourne versus Joe Hendry versus TNA X Division Champion, the youngest in charge, Leon Slayer, which is Leon Slayer did win, by the way. Tag team match, WWE Evolved Women's Champion Kendall Gray and Winston Clare versus Fatal Influence, WWE Women's Speed Champion Fallon Henley and Lanny Reed. That match was like a solid tag team match. And WWE NXT Women's North American Championship, the Glamour Blake Monroe versus Thea. That match itself was terrible, but good moment for Thea, and that's all I gotta say. But Blake Monroe showed her what's up. So we get the tag team match: Hank Walker and Tank Legger versus OTM, Lawrence Price and Bronco Nima. We seen this tag team match already. Can we move on to something else? That's all I gotta say. Oh yeah, but WWE NXT goes off the air. Alright, let me get my spin if I think about WWE NXT. Now, WWE NXT was a terrible show, and I give that show a 3.5 out of 10. And there were some good highlights here and there, but nothing special on the entire show on NXT happens. Everything else is just there. But anyway, if you guys enjoy my WWE NXT review on highlights, make sure you guys please watch the video from all the way from the beginning all towards the end. Give this video 30 likes, subscribe to my channel for more extra content that I do on the channel because I'm on the road to 12K subscribers. I had 10K subscribers, now I'm back down to 9K. Can you guys help me get 10K subscribers back, please? I would gladly appreciate it because I'm grinding for that 12K. I'm grinding for 12K subscribers. But anyway, I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Too sweet, mightier, gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet, gang. And thank you guys so much for coming out to my 3-hour live stream on Twitch for some WWE NXT Watch Along Live and reactions. Thank you guys so much for Showstopper TV, everybody else, Showstopper TV, PSY, Toxic Spider, aka Ninja, for being there, Allison for being there, my boy Icebox for being there, and my boy Cerise for being there. Thank you guys so much for coming out to my 3-hour live stream for my WWE NXT Watch On Live and reactions live on TikTok. I had a good time. You know what I'm saying? It was a W3-hour stream over there on Twitch. But anyway, this Thursday I will be streaming live on Twitch for some Fortnite. So I hope you guys will be there. And that's all I gotta say. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for my AEW Dynamite review and highlights. Have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang. And I'll see you guys tonight on my upcoming world premiere for my WWE NXT review and highlights at around 5 o'clock a.m. Pacific, 5 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Have a great night. Stay safe and always stay too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang.